The Who's down 2 scores in the fourth, find a way to win. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. Admit it, you totally knew where things were going when it was 30-17 Wake in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't a good place. The Deacs had taken control with a drive that took up the first half of the third quarter, and you just knew after that, as long as that took, that Anthony Colandrea, the sophomore quarterback, the QB1, was going to come out pressing, trying to do too much, and that's exactly what happened. The sophomore underthrew a ball intended for Trell Harris that ended up being intercepted. Wake turned that into a field goal. At least the defense stiffened in the red zone, as it did a good bit on the night, but still at 30-17. And Wake had the ball going into the fourth quarter after UVA 3-and-out. And Wake had scored on 6 of its 8 possessions, not counting the one play with 2 seconds left at the end of the first half after the block punt. It didn't feel right. Everything started innocently with a third down stop near midfield on Wake's next possession, and then a fourth down sack, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And then Virginia's offense found a rhythm. Anthony Colandrea, offensive coordinator, Des Kitchings, getting together on the play calling on the next Virginia series. AC was 5 for 5 for 68 yards on that drive, which ended with a Colandrea to Trell Harris 24-yard TD pass. They got to score to 30-24. Felt a little better there. And at this point, Coach Tony Elliott, the head coach Tony Elliott, he had his guys' attention. Here's a quote from Tony after the game. We didn't start the second half the way we wanted to, right? They came out and had 2 scoring drives, and we had a turnover and a 3-and-out. And I just told the guys, don't press. It's still a lot of ball. We're trying to get into the fourth quarter. All we need to do is get this into the fourth quarter and have it be a 1-possession game, and we give ourselves a shot. And here's where Wake Forest coach Dave Clawson blinked. His offense got a first down in plus territory, but the drive stalled. And after his quarterback, Hank Bachmeyer, missed on a 3rd and 9 at the UVA 36, Clawson should have punted. Should have done one of those things where you take a 5-yard delay of game penalty, try to punt. Worst case scenario, UVA starts at the 20. It's a couple first downs away from where they were there. Instead, he left his offense on the field. Trey McDonald fought through a couple of blocks and sacked Bachmeyer, not just for a loss, but for an 8-yard loss. So all of a sudden, UVA is set up at the 44-yard line. The next Virginia possession took several years off the end of our lives. We've been having a lot of that lately with Virginia sports. Colandrea converted 1 4th-down pass across the middle to Malachi Fields, who had to kind of reach behind himself to catch that pass. That was a couple of years off the end of the life. Then on the 4th and 2 at the Wake 9, Colandrea connected again. This one was a much easier pitch and catch to Fields. He got to the 2-yard line. Colandrea ran for a yard on 1st and goal. And then Elliott and Kitchens didn't wait too long, and didn't wait to 3rd down or 4th down. They went with the Grady Bunch play, the push play featuring Grady Brosterhouse, who takes a lot of snaps in practice in this formation. The old push play where you just pretty much get everybody together like a big rugby play and push forward to gain a yard. One play last week in the Richmond game didn't work, interestingly enough, and there was a possibility in the first half Virginia could have tried this play, but they saved it for when they needed it. Brosterhouse scored from 1 yard out on the 2nd down play. Virginia took its first lead of the night with 2:07 to go, trailing all game long, 17-3 in the second quarter, 30-17 in the third going into the fourth quarter. Still wasn't over yet. Bachmeyer, who had 403 yards passing on the night, got the Deacs into plus territory on their next possession, and completed a 20-yard pass. So would have gotten the ball inside the 30-yard line, but Malcolm Green forced a fumble of Taylor Marin, and then Antonio Clary out-wrestled everybody on the bottom of the pile to get the fumble recovery. Still not over yet. Virginia made Wake use its 3 timeouts, but Wake got the ball back with a great punt from Daniel Sparks inside I think it was inside the 5-yard line. I know it was inside the 10-yard line. Wake was able to, get the ball up. I think it was the 30-yard line, close to the 30-yard line. They had to, at that point, they had to run the lateral play, got to the 45, didn't get too far, and the game was over. And, I don't know about you. I watched the game on TV. We had Scott German from AFP down there in Winston-Salem. The game went off too quick on TV. They went straight to the Liberty New Mexico State game. And they went so quick. They didn't do anything post-game, anything else to wrap up. It felt like, man, are they going to come back and say there was a penalty on that play? It just feels like this didn't end right. And it did. Final score 31-30, Virginia with the win, coming back from a 30-17 deficit in a game that, I mean, boy, Wake had to kick 3 field goals after getting in the red zone. They left at least, I mean, that's 12 points at most off the field. At least one of those turns into a touchdown. That's 34-31 Wake. Couple of quotes from Coach Elliott. We've been working really, really hard as a program, been challenging these guys to grow up. And tonight they took a step forward, being down in the fourth quarter to come back and find a way to win. That's all I can say. That's the good Lord above. Well, that's our coach. He deserves a little bit of thinking divine intervention after the three back-to-back 3-win seasons and last year's group being so snake bitten. You remember that week 2 loss to JMU, a 1-point loss in a game in which UVA gave up a block punt touchdown, had an 11-point lead with 9 minutes to go. Storm comes, JMU uses it to regroup. UVA doesn't. JMU scores 2 touchdowns and wins the game by a point. NC State won a game, tie game, last play of regulation, missed a field goal, but Virginia gets a penalty on the field goal, moves the ball 15 yards closer. NC State makes the second one, wins that game. Louisville won by a touchdown in a game Virginia led going into the fourth quarter. That game featured a block punt for a touchdown. Another quote from Coach Elliott. We lost a lot of close games last year. We had 5 games, a touchdown or less, a 1-point loss, several field goal losses in the fourth quarter. I didn't mention Miami with an OT win on a field goal. Boston College won with a field goal with 2:11 to go. I mean, this was a 3-9 team that easily could have won 7 or 8 games with a break in those games. Like that 2008 team that won, I think it was a 2008 team that won 9 games in a regular season, 5 of them by 2 points or less. Just ridiculous numbers there. So Tony Colandrea, 357 yards, 3 TDs, 2 INTs. Malachi Fields, 11 catches, 148 yards, 11 catches on 13 targets. Grad transfer tight end Tyler Neville, 2 TD catches. All the attention given to Fields, he got other guys open, and Neville took advantage of that, a couple TDs. The defense gave up a lot of yards, 544, but had 6 sacks, 6 QB hurries. Gave up all those yards, but in the fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, 2 big sacks, including the one that gave Virginia great field position on the eventual game-winning drive, forced a turnover to help preserve the lead after getting the lead. That locker room was loud. That was Scott German said that being down there in the post game, he wasn't in the locker room, but the media interview room was right next to the locker room. Very loud. It should have been. They deserved it. This is a program that's had challenges the past couple of years. There was the coaching transition. It's always a challenge there. A lot of guys leaving, a lot of guys coming in. The end of that first season with the tragedy of November 13th, 2022. The growing pains of last year, which included all those close losses. It's just one game, but it feels significant, given that one of the parts of sports that you can overlook is that in addition to have to learn how to play the game and then run all the plays and get the scheme down and figure out everything, the blocking schemes, the run fits, all this kind of stuff. You also have to learn how to win, and that's something that's can be untouchable at times, right? And then you got to learn how to do it again and again and again. So that's the closing quote from Elliott here. We need to build upon this. Stay humble, have confidence, knowing that we can be a fourth quarter team, and great teams, they find a way to win the game in the fourth quarter. That's the final message here from this one. Hey, you got any questions for me, any comments? Please feel free to email me at chris@augustafreepress.com.